you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and today we are doing a library haul. So if you saw my previous video, you would know that I am trying to cut back on buying books that I don't give 5 stars or that I don't absolutely love. With that said, that means I will be using my library for the majority of 2020. So rather than doing purchased book hauls, I will be doing library hauls instead. I don't know if I'm going to wait until the end of the month to do them or the beginning and kind of have it as a TBR kind of video. Let me know down below what you guys would prefer. Regardless, today, this month, on the month of January, the library haul is going to be at the end of the month. So let's get into it. The first book I have to talk about is Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. This is a very hyped book release at the moment, and all I really know about it is that it is a gender-bent retelling of the Count of Monte Cristo, which I plan on listening to the abridged version before reading this, just because I want to get more familiar with the story. I remember watching the movie in high school, but other than that, I want to just refresh my memories. I also know that this is heavily Asian inspired because I know that Tara Sim is South Asian herself. I believe she is Indian. And I also believe that this is a full POC cast. I love some vengeful ladies, so I have a really good feeling about this, and I'm very excited to check this out soon. The next book I have to talk about kind of follows the theme of badass female characters, and that is Kashiel's Dart by Jacqueline Carey. So I don't know too much about this, but I know that it is an adult fantasy. What really drew me to this book is our main character happens to be a courtesan. I really would love to read a book centering a courtesan character. That's all I need to know to have me hooked. I'm very curious to see how that plays out, and I also believe that she happens to be a spy or some kind of assassin. Not sure the lengths of what her vendetta is or what her goals are, but again, like I said, that's all I really need to know about it. This is so chunky though. I was not expecting it to be this big when I picked it up. Very excited nonetheless, and I hope to try this out fairly soon because I just need it in my life. The next book I have to talk about is Crown of Feathers by Nikki Powell-Preto. This I didn't have on my radar until Elliot Brooks talked about it in a couple of her videos, and she mentioned that this book has the same lore and world building that you get from adult fantasy. So if I can find a YA book that gives me the thing that I love most about adult high fantasy in a more easily accessible, fast-paced written way, that just sounds perfect to me. I know that this follows a world in which there are these Phoenix Riders. I think our main character is training to be a Phoenix Rider or something of that nature. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe we also follow a male perspective and maybe one other, but I think that this could be really interesting again because of the lore and the world building. I haven't read any book about phoenixes, so that's very interesting, very intriguing to me, and so I'm very excited to kind of check this out. I know that the sequel is coming out this year as well, so hopefully if I like this, I can then read that and it'll be a fun time. The next book I have is Princess Ever After by Katie O'Neill. Katie O'Neill is the author of the very beloved Tea Dragon Society, which I absolutely adore, and I just want to read everything that Katie O'Neill puts out, and this is one of her backlist titles. I'm hoping that it's female because it's very cute, and like the end pages, if you can see, they're like dancing and it's really adorable, so I'm hoping that it's like a cute little romance between these two. Looks like it's like a princess and her guard, her knight, which is probably one of my top 5 favorite romance tropes. I love the princess and the guard trope, so the fact that they put that, and it might be female, like, that just sounds like everything to me, and I'm sure that the art is going to be absolutely gorgeous because Katie O'Neill is just a fantastic illustrator, so I'm just very excited to pick this up. I definitely will be picking this up in the month of February, first for romance feels, and also one of our main characters is Black, so we love the diversity, the inclusivity, and I'm very excited to read this. It just seems really cute. The next book I have is Our Stories, Our Voices, 21 YA authors get real about injustice, empowerment, and growing up female in America. And this has a variety different authors, as I said. The ones that kind of pop out to me as I'm reading the back, I've heard of Amy Reed, Brandy Colbert, Maureen Gu, Nina LaCour, Sonia Menon, Julie Murphy, Anna Marie McLemore. So those are kind of the authors that stand out to me, but there are more of those in there, and I really just want to check out more anthologies and also nonfiction as well, because I think anthologies are such a great way to look at somebody's writing style and see if you vibe with them and if you want to check out their individual works. And I also, again, want to check out more nonfiction in 2020, so this just seems like a really good introduction. This is also a really beautiful cover, and it really struck me, and I just think nonfiction needs to do better about getting beautiful covers, because I guarantee more people will read them if they actually looked really striking. I am very excited to read this, as I am all of these books, because that's why I got them. Speaking of really pretty nonfiction covers, I got Pirate Women, The Princesses, Prostitutes, and Privateers Who Ruled the Seven Seas by Laura Duncombe. This is about ladies on the sea, lady pirates, and I'm sorry, is there anything better than lady pirates? I really genuinely don't think so. So this sounds incredible. Also, hello, cover. Look at how stunning this is, and it's very short, which I love. The next book I have is Air Awakens by Elise Kova. This reminds me so much of Sorcery of Thorns, because we're following a librarian who happens to have some magical abilities, and it seems that she has kind of been forced to keep them a secret, but now she has to use her powers in order to help the Crown Prince in some way. And it's also quite short, and I believe that this is indie published, but I could be wrong about that. I've heard some pretty great things about this from the people who have read this. I believe it is quite an atmospheric read, and after the disappointment of Sorcery of Thorns, I kind of want to check this out and see if it gives me what Sorcery of Thorns lacked. Ooh, the next one is a big boy, and that is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. So, obviously I have a ton of books on this haul, and I'm not going to get to all of them, or probably even half of them, this one included. I mainly picked this one up because I just wanted to get a taste of what the story was. I just wanted to read a couple chapters, which I have done. I just wanted to see what was happening, because nobody really talks about what this book is about, and I totally understand, because it is an adult high fantasy. It is very long, very complex, but I'm not going to read a book just because you say it has dragons in it. I need a little bit more, and thankfully, after looking up Starla from Starla's Reads review of this book, I have kind of more of an understanding. So this book follows a matriarchy from the West and something else from the East, and these two sides have been at war with each other because of how they view dragons. I believe the West values them and respects them as kind of a religious being or religious figures, and the East believes that they're extremely dangerous, and that's kind of where the tension originates. I know that there's a female-female romance in here, so that's kind of all I really know about it. I've heard that discussions about religion are quite a core factor about this book, and that is one of my buzzwords. If a book revolves around religion in any capacity, in any belief system, I am automatically intrigued. But I've also heard that the ending is very disappointing, and I don't know if I want to commit myself to this huge book and then be disappointed by the ending. So definitely let me know down below if you have read Priory, if you enjoyed it, if you didn't like it. Let me know where you stand and if I should give it a chance based on what I've said. The next book I have is Rovin in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez. I hope I pronounced that right. First of all, this cover, definitely a favorite of 2020. I really don't think anything is going to beat this. Like, this is absolutely stunning. I really, like, look at that spine. I hope I love this book because I just want this on my shelves right now. I just know that this centers around Bolivian politics, and that's all I know about it. So let's see if we can find anything else. Okay, I do remember a little bit more of that after reading the synopsis. So this follows our main character Ximena, and she is the right hand of the princess or queen, but something happens to said princess slash queen, and Ximena has to go in her stead to be a representative of this particular country or area or region, and it also looks like she's hunting for some relic of some kind, so I assume that's where the magic comes to play. I've heard a ton of people talk about this book and say that they want to read this, but I haven't seen any reviews for it. So I'm very curious to check this out. Hopefully I love it so I can put it on my shelves because, again, this is just stunning. The next book I have is one that I have started. I read the first chapter of it, and this is going to be hands down a 5-star prediction for me, and that is Lent by Jo Walton. This is a historical fiction fantasy set during the Italian Renaissance, which, boom, done. That's all you need. I'm ready, I'm here for it, and I'm ready to just give my life for it. And it has demons. So we're following a Dominican priest who can see these demons and seems to use those powers to exorcise them. I don't know anything more than that because I've only read one chapter, but I'm sure it gets warped up into these politics, but that's all I need to know, and I'm very, very excited to read this, and I feel like I'm going to love it because this is just everything I could ever want. The next book I have is The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the sequel to The Raven Boys, and I read The Raven Boys in December, and I absolutely fell in love with it, gave it 5 out of 5 stars, so I'm very excited to continue with the series. Ronan is my favorite Raven Boy, and he's on the cover, and I feel like this book centers a lot around him and his abilities that I don't entirely understand quite yet, but I hopefully will when I read this book. The next book I have is Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor, another sequel to a very popular book, Strange the Dreamer. I just read recently, just read this month. If you haven't checked out my spoilery review, definitely go check that out if you have read the book. This is a sequel to it. I really just should have already started this, seeing as how Strange the Dreamer ends, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. This is going to be read hopefully soon, probably in February. I'm not sure. We'll see. This stack is getting dangerously high, just like me on a Tuesday. Okay, next we have Foundry Side by Robert Jackson Bennett. This one doesn't have a ton of people reading it at the moment, but all of the people who have read this hype this book up so much that it is impossible for you to not be interested and to not read it. I just know that our main character is an empath, so she can sense emotions and feelings from other people, but she can also do it with objects and inanimate objects. So for example, I think she can feel the floor and sense the complete floor plan of an area, which makes her a great thief, which is what she is, because I think this is a heist story. That's all I really know about it, but this cover is beautiful. The sequel cover, that's enough to make me want to read your book. Never underestimate the power of graphic designers. Robert Jackson Bennett understands. He gets it. So I want to get him and his books and his writing. So hopefully I get that from this book. I would like to read it, I would like to see it, and I would like to own it. This is getting a little dangerous. It's okay. We only have 2 more books left. So the next book I have is The Sisters of the Winterwood by Rena Rosnier. Again, cover stunning. Like, how do you look at this and not want to consume it and know what it's about? I want to know the secrets. I want to know what is happening. I want to know what all of these little symbols mean. I just want to know. This is a Jewish folklore, historical fantasy kind of story. I know that it is very fairy tale inspired. I haven't heard the best things because I've heard a lot of people say that the romance is at the forefront when they go into this expecting a sisterly relationship. Well, guess what? I know that going in, so I feel like I can actually like this. I actually have started this, and it's strange because one perspective of the sisters is written normally, so normal prose, but the other sister is written in poetry format. So it's very interesting, it's very unique, and I actually quite liked that. I have the audiobook for this as well, so I think I'm going to listen while I read as well, depending on how good the audiobook is. I think I will be able to enjoy this because I know the criticisms going into it. This just seems like it could be a really soft, quiet fantasy that I could really enjoy. I'm willing to give it a shot, and guess what? The library is free, so there is no stakes whatsoever if I end up not liking this. I think this stack is actually going to sustain itself because I only have one last book, and that is Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is a very beloved author from Jocelyn from Yogi with a Book. She loves Silvia Moreno Garcia. She hypes this author up very much on her channel, which I appreciate because it gives me motivation to check her out. This I don't know anything about, but it's freaking vampires, I'm pretty sure. Why has nobody talked about this book? Like, I've never even heard of this book besides Jocelyn's praising of it. It says, "Welcome to Mexico City, an oasis in a sea of vampires." Where is the hype? How did y'all do me dirty like that and not tell me this existed? Because and this cover is stunning. I want this. I want this right now in my heart, in my mind, in my brain cells. I want to just ingest everything about this. This sounds incredible. I'm so ready. Okay, so I know I mentioned that that was the last book that I had, but I still have 3 more books to talk to you guys about because they are currently in transit to my library, but I don't have them in my possession at this very moment. The first book that I have is Inventing Victoria by Tanya Bolden. This follows our main character who lives in 1880s Savannah, Georgia, and it seems from the description that she meets this very wealthy black woman and she learns etiquette from her and learns just how to move up in this patriarchal, racist, kind of capitalistic society. I, again, have never heard anybody talk about this book, but of course, since it's Black History Month next month, I wanted to find a couple books that I've never heard about that have black representation by black authors, and this is just one of them. And I love some historical fiction, even though I'm not a huge fan of US history, but whatever, that's fine. So I hope I enjoy this when I get it in my hands. The next book I have is another one of Kitty O'Neill's backlist, and that is Aquacorn Cove. This book centers around ocean conservation, and that's all I really know about it. I assume our main character is some sort of magical sea creature, and I'm sure it's going to be cute, I'm sure it's going to be beautiful, and I have no doubt that I'm going to rate it very highly. And finally, the last book that will be in my possession very soon is Steel Crow Saga from Paul Kruger. This has been hyped up by Monty, who is my absolute favorite reviewer here on BookTube. So Monty hates probably 80% of the books that I really love, but I always really love the books he loves. For example, Emergency Contact, Permanent Record. Sure, there's a bunch of other examples that I can't think of off the top of my head. So I really trust his recommendation when it comes to anything that intrigues me. He reads a lot of contemporary and nonfiction and things that I don't necessarily read. So the fact that he rated this fantasy so highly, I'm like, well, I read predominantly fantasy, so I feel like I need to check this out. I know that this book is compared to like Pokemon because there are these animal companions, and I'm pretty sure it is another full POC cast. I know the author is Asian. I believe he's Filipino. Could be wrong about that. And there's a lot of diversity, lots of diverse characters, lots of LGBT rep, I believe. That just sounds really entertaining and really fun. So that is it for this huge library book haul. Of course, I am not going to get to all of these books in the time frame that I have them, but it doesn't really matter if I don't get to all of them. I hope to at least try a couple chapters of each of them to see, okay, which ones do I need to re-request? Which ones do I just want to forget about? So if you want to make that process a little easier for me, and comment down below if you have read any of these books, if you are interested in any of these books, and also let me know if you maybe want to see try a chapter tag from me where I read the first chapter of about maybe 5 of these books. So if you do want me to do that, comment down below which books that you really want to see me do that with. But other than that, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!